Alright, listen up everyone. They've announced that the technical regulations are changing for next season. Now there's a risk a lot of our hard work could be undone if we're not careful. So let's figure out how to mitigate this.
Hello everyone and welcome back guys to a brand new video where today we're here back for round 15 of the F1 2019 Haas Road to Glory Season 3, where we are here at the Singapore Grand Prix. And as you just saw at the start of this video, we have got regulation changes coming for Season 4. Finally, we can try and focus on future-proofing this car and really hope that Season 4 does move towards us, move into our favour. And obviously that means that now we are basically just farming R&D points between now and the end of the season. But yeah, we head to round 15 of the championship here for the Singapore Grand Prix. We've had a bit of a curse around Singapore so far. It is the only track on F1 2019 and the Haas Road to Glory career mode that we are yet to finish a race at in either of our attempts in previous seasons in this series. And heading into Season 3, it's not a track that particularly suits our car, but we'll wait and see as to how this goes. Let's jump in then. It's time for round 15 of the season. The Flyaway Series has begun. We're here in Singapore.
As the sun sets over the South China Sea, the sport that never sleeps is alert and raring to go. Welcome, under the bright lights of the Marina Bay circuit, to another Singapore Grand Prix. It's a very long, very physical lap, this one, and really there's not much in the way of margin for error. So we have a bit of an endurance race for you tonight. It's a 3.1 mile lap here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit with 47% taken at full throttle. It's hot, humid and bumpy around the 13 lefts and the 10 rights of mostly slow corners. But we should see speeds of up to 200 miles per hour along the Raffles Boulevard. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Can we begin by having a chat about Charles Leclerc? As ever, the threat of unreliability is never far away, and indeed they'll be starting out of position today due to a power unit component change. So it's going to be a difficult task to move forward from there.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be. It's about effective damage limitation.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he starts from pole position. And starting alongside is Lucas Faber. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Bottas, Gasly, Lewis Hamilton, and Vettel, Hülkenberg, Norris, Perez, and Devon Butler, Ricciardo, Sainz, Lance Stroll, Mr. Monaco, Leclerc, Albon, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Roman Grosjean. Raikkonen and Daniel Kvyat completes the grid, and with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Great starting position for us. Let's see if we can improve on that in the race.
So here we are then on the grid, ready for the Singapore Grand Prix, and that weather is not looking reassuring. It was a fairly simple qualifying session. I'm normally not going to bother showing them anymore unless anything exciting happens. P15 on the grid, ready for the Singapore Grand Prix, but it's looking like a dry to wet race here today. So we're just going to jump straight into this then. The 5 lights are coming on now for the Singapore Grand Prix, and it is lights out and away we go. They're originally actually responding quite well to the lights, but like always on F1 2019, not really able to get a particularly good start on the run down towards turn 1 there. Lance Stroll just going to completely slam the door shut on us as we head through the first couple of corners here, out in towards the second part of the first complex. You can see Charles Leclerc actually in the Renault, one of the only drivers really starting off position there, so he's going to slip straight past us as we head out onto the longest straight on this lap here. And yeah, Charles Leclerc in that Renault, he's probably going to be looking to try and make good progress in the opening laps of this Grand Prix, starting on a set of the hard compound tyres here. Really, I think he's hoping that the rain comes a bit later on in this first stint of the race here. But a fairly okay start. We haven't lost the front wing there. Charles Leclerc getting very, very feisty with us on the opening lap of this race. Not too sure how that's my fault, FIA, I'll be honest with you, but we'll gloss over that and we will continue on here. And yeah, this first stint is going to be all about just trying to keep the tyres in good shape, ready for the wet period, obviously, when it does arrive here in Singapore. Obviously, it is a very, very humid city, so the rain can come thick and fast here at Singapore. As you can see, heading on now to lap 2, though, still trying to apply the pressure to Charles Leclerc just in front of us here, but just trying to settle down into a rhythm. Obviously, it is, in terms of time, the longest race on the Formula 1 calendar, as I just saw a flash, and that is the rain already arriving here in Singapore. I mean, it said it was going to be in, what, the 3rd, 6th of this race, so about, you know, just under halfway in, and we're only on the 2nd lap of 31 here in Singapore, and the rain has already started to fall, so this could really throw a spanner in the works for a lot of the drivers here. And I mean, it could probably help out a lot of the guys towards the front of the field that might have started on a set of these soft compound tyres here. But heading on to lap 3, though, clearly the FIA not too worried about that rain at the moment. The DRS has already been enabled now, and now Charles Leclerc on that set of the hard compound tyres, he's really, really going to struggle here over these next couple of laps. Obviously, no one else's tyres are worn out at the moment, and on those hards, he's not going to quite have the grip in the rain here as we head down the straight once again, though. But that Renault is an absolute missile in the traction zones. It just takes off and goes down the straights around this circuit here. As you can see, by the end of lap 3, though, we're still really trying to apply the pressure to the Renault man in towards the final couple of corners of the lap here. Can we potentially open up a bit of a run there? Definitely not down the straights. We're going to have to do it all in the corners, which is much easier said than done around the Singapore Grand Prix circuit as we head through turn 1, turn 2, and at turn 3 here. Actually getting quite a good little switchback move on the Renault man there as we head down the straight. But look at that, we've got so much better driving still. Charles Leclerc is able to get a much better run by the end of the straight. The overspeed that Renault power unit really does carry, it is absolutely phenomenal in this series. I mean, we've got a pretty close to maxed out Ferrari power unit strapped to the back of this Haas car there, and still we've got nothing on Charles Leclerc down the straight. So through the corners, actually, Charles Leclerc, though, running a little bit early on the brakes there, and we get right around the outside of him. We've finally been able to make that move work, and we are up into P14 of this Grand Prix here, so starting to make a little bit of progress here. And now hopefully over the next couple of laps, I mean, we've got the McLarens ahead of us now. They don't have a particularly strong car. This is definitely a car that we can fight with around the Singapore Grand Prix circuit there as we try to get the run on Lance Stroll here. You can see just how much less that McLaren pulls out down at the straight here. Stroll going defensive there way too early on the brakes, so we're going to try and slip around the outside of the McLaren man there, and that is us now up into P13 of the Grand Prix here. So trying to capitalise in the early stages of this race here, and everyone's struggling just to try and find the grip at the moment. You know, this is one of those races where really it all comes down to driver skill. You know, you can easily be losing 2-3 seconds a lap just by not being as brave as the cars around you here, as we're all over the back of Carlos Sainz. Can we potentially line up a bit of a move over the Anderson Bridge? We go, just getting a little bit too late though on the brakes, and unfortunately we've sent Ricciardo around in this race there. Somehow no front wing damage coming from that. Virtual safety car has been deployed, or I should say minimum front wing damage from that instant there. But yeah, virtual safety car has now been deployed. I mean, this was the 2nd career mode race I think we were recording on the new patch there, as Valtteri Bottas now also out of this Grand Prix there. Ferrari struggled with the car last week out at the Italian Grand Prix, but once again, clearly those issues have not been resolved, and Bottas is the first man to retire from this Grand Prix. But like I said though, this was the 2nd race I think I'm recording on the new F1 2019 patch, and I mean, if the safety car, if there needed to be a test of how often that safety car is going to come out, this is certainly going to be the ultimate test right here. A dry to wet race around the Singapore Grand Prix circuit. That is going to test both the safety car and everyone to the limits here. As on to the end of lap 6 we go, and actually a few drivers now starting to pit onto a set of the intermediate compounded tyres here, and actually it looked like it was most of the people that had started on a set of the hard compound tyres there, so clearly they are struggling. You know, they just don't quite have the grip, and one lap later on the mediums we would get the call in as well to dive it in onto a set of the inters. As you can see, trying to get the car slowed down nice and tightly in towards the pit lane here, and actually there seems to be a glitch going on. Charles Leclerc is stuck in the pit lane here. Not too sure what's happened to the Renault driver there. That seems to be a glitch that I think we've seen a couple of times online in the past, but never have I seen it in career mode on F1 2019. So that looks like Charles Leclerc's race is all but said and done. And we're only 8 laps in to this Grand Prix there. As you can see, heading back out of the pit lane though, Devon Butler coming out just in front of us here. And I don't think we've really lost out anything, you know, staying out for that extra lap on the set of the intermediate compounded tyres here. As over the next couple of laps, you'd see Devon Butler, everyone now in completely different stages of the Grand Prix there. Danny Kvyat had to stay out for another lap in this Grand Prix, as well as Antonio Giovinazzi there, and you can see just how much he's struggling. Butler gets around the outside of him through the tunnel, somewhere where you don't really expect to go side by side with another car, and we're able to capitalise as well here now up into P8 of the Grand Prix there. Giovinazzi diving into the pits as well here through the final couple of corners there, up into P10, it might be P9 actually, as Lance Stroll has dived it through the pit lane as well there. And yeah, we are now up nicely nestled in to the points in this Grand Prix here. But we've got Devon Butler and Sergio Perez just in front of us at this stage of the race there. But look at the mini-map. Just how big a lead that Max Verstappen has got in this Grand Prix. He's already built himself up a good 30-second margin. And we're barely a third of the way through this Grand Prix there. But it wouldn't be long before we were trying to apply the pressure to Devon Butler here, going full send up the inside of the other straightaway on this circuit there. And we do get the car slowed down nice and tidily there. A well-calculated move, if I do say so myself. And we are now up into P7 of this Grand Prix from P15 on the grid here. And it looks like everyone was starting to struggle behind Lewis Hamilton in this Grand Prix. It appeared that he had some front wing damage here. So we were in a bit of a weird position where we needed to try and make the move work before Perez could get past Hamilton as well here. You know, it was one of those, you know, we only had a certain amount of time to make the moves work here. As you can see all over the back of Sergio Perez. Can we go full send once again over the Anderson Bridge? Try not to run into the back of the Renault driver there. But yeah, we now move ourselves up into P6 of the Grand Prix there. And now Hamilton still in P5 of the race. If we can try and get past him over these next couple of laps here, then we can really focus on trying to build up a little bit of a margin here. But over the next couple of laps, Hamilton, as the rain just got heavier and heavier, you know, that extra piece of aero just became less and less important here, as we were starting to struggle a little bit with trying to keep the rear tyres in check in terms of the temperatures as we head down in towards the final few corners of lap 14 now. Pretty much now at the halfway stage of the Grand Prix there, just dinking the wall on the outside. Lucky to pick up no front wing damage from that one there, as Hamilton still just in front of us here. And Hamilton, he's going to actually dive it in for a set of the wet compounded tyres here. We're going to follow him in to the pit lane here. But you can see, who's that? I think that was that Sergio Perez? No, it must have been his teammate Lando Norris staying out on those intermediate compounded tyres here, as everyone else trying to file in for a set of the wets here. Hamilton's going to need a front wing change, so we should be able to get the jump on him. And a nice, clean, tidy pit stop there. We stay out ahead of Devon Butler there. Stay out ahead of Sergio Perez as well. So Devon Butler making big, big gains over that lap. But Alexander Albon, another driver there, who was opted to stay out on a set of the intermediate compounded tyres here. And it was going to be a really, really interesting few laps here to see just how much time the Toro Rosso man would lose in this Grand Prix here over the next couple of laps. But, you know, we're at the halfway stage now of this Grand Prix, and honestly, I was struggling to keep track with where everyone was in this race. Lando Norris now has come out ahead of us on a set of the full wet tyres here, but we had to have a look at the race director to see what was going on in this Grand Prix here. Have a look, Max Verstappen dominating this Grand Prix at this stage of the race there, but Lance Stroll and Alexander Albon, they're not making the call onto a set of the full wet tyres here, so they're trying to stay out, stick it out on the inters. The wet weather wasn't meant to last as long as I think a lot of us were hoping there, and the only other driver on a particularly alternate strategy was my teammate Romain Grosjean on, I think, the 4-stop strategy in this Grand Prix here. But yeah, we were just trying to keep it nice and tidy and seeing how much Albon and Lance Stroll would lose out on those sets of the intermediate compounded tyres here, but it didn't work out that badly for them. Over these next couple of laps here, you can see we'd actually get the call just after we fly past the pit lane there onto a new set of the medium compound tyres here, so it's going to be intriguing to see how much we lose over this next lap here. But I mean, that works out fantastically for Lance Stroll. He was now up into a net P2 of this Grand Prix there for Mclaren, and may I remind you, they have not scored a point all season long so far. So I mean, 18 points in the bag would be, I mean, that would be everything for McLaren in this championship there, and that is a net P2. He doesn't need to pit again. You know, or at least not any more than anyone around him needs to there. I think we got one of the Force Indias. I'm going to guess that Sebastian Vettel is going to be quickly closing in on the McLaren card there. But yeah, up into a net P2 of the Grand Prix here. But by the end of lap 19, we would really be starting to struggle on this set of the full wet tyres here. You know, there was no way these were going to be able to last for much longer in this Grand Prix. And I mean, it was one of those races, as I think it was Ayrton Senna used to say, you know, you had to be on the right tyres at the right time. And yeah, we'd have to dive it in again for our, what's that, third pit stop of the Grand Prix? If I'm not mistaken, and yeah, we're only 2/3 of the way through at the moment. And this race has just been absolutely crazy for the most part there. Lando Norris obviously is going to fly back passes there. Alexander Albon, Toro Rosso are yet to score a point since Season 1 of the Haas Road to Glory career mode here. And he's still looking like he's on for P7 at this stage of the race there. Unfortunately for ourselves though, we're going to lose out on quite a few places. You know, just having to go that one lap longer here. We're going to be back down outside of the points now in P12 here. And I didn't really have too many aims for this Grand Prix heading into it, but I definitely wanted to be scoring points in this race. You know, now we were on the cusp of doing so here. As you can see, on to lap 20 to 22 we go here, trying to close down that gap to Sergio Perez here. But like we had earlier on with Hamilton, now it was a case of trying to carve our way through these cars before we all got stuck behind Alexander Albon in the latter stages of this Grand Prix here. On to lap 23 we go now, all over the back of Perez, Devon Butler and Carlos Sainz here. And over the Anderson Bridge, we've already done it once to Perez. Certainly not going to be able to do it that time round. Get a huge tank slapper as we head over the Anderson Bridge there, like Felipe Massa did back in, I think it was 2011, 2012. But as we head now onto lap 24, one lap later, could we potentially move up any more places in this Grand Prix here? You know, we've still got 6-7 laps to go of this race. This time around, we're going to go full send up the inside of Perez there. The second time in this Grand Prix, we made the move work over the Williams man in this race there. And now we are right onto the cusp of points once again here. Devon Butler is going to be the next car up the road. And onto lap 26, you can see now actually getting very hazy around this circuit. The track's starting to dry out very quickly here, like it tends to in such a humid climate, as we head through the final couple of corners of lap 26. And yet at the moment still just trying to push, and onto the end of lap 27, the start of 28, we would dive it in onto a set of the dry compounded tyres once again here. And like I said, the track just dried out instantly in this Grand Prix there, but unfortunately losing a lot of time. My teammate Romain Grosjean there, pretty much a lap down now, and the team were not ready for me to come in as well. Their front wing change had to be made as well. And that was an 11-second pit stop here. We're going to jump past Alexander Albon there, and there's a glitch in the pit lane. Sergio Perez is stuck, costing Alexander Albon as well there. So we've kind of robbed our way back inside the top 10 of this Grand Prix here. But heading on to what would be our final lap of the race there. Devon Butler 10 seconds up the road. I thought we might be able to close back up to him and the rest of that little gaggle of cars here. But unfortunately, yeah, it was going to be too little too late at the end of the day there. But what a race it has been. And it was kind of weird, you know, we had these 3 laps right at the end of the race where everything sort of went back to normal in this race there. But yeah, what a race it was at the end of the day there. I mean, we had to make 4 pit stops in this Grand Prix, and I mean, we've still got one more lap to go here around Singapore. Really just trying to push, potentially, you know, would love to try and bag the fastest lap of the Grand Prix here. Now, I'd quite happily take the extra bonus point as well, but I don't think we're going to be able to do so here, because Max Verstappen, he was a man on a mission right the way throughout this Grand Prix. I'm pretty certain he led from start to finish here, and I'm pretty certain he's lapped up to about, what, P6, P7 in this Grand Prix there, and I've got no idea where he found this pace from. He was just on another level all weekend long there. He's just coming down in towards the final few corners of the Grand Prix, and I mean, we had what I'd probably say was one of our strongest races of the season so far here. But Max Verstappen, yeah, in that Red Bull, they are on another level at the moment, winning at Monza one week and coming to Singapore and winning the next in such dominant fashion just goes to show how well their car is at the end of the day there. But Verstappen comes through to win at the Singapore Grand Prix. We come through the final couple of corners here to take home P10. We've survived the Singapore Grand Prix, and even better than that, we've taken home points at the end of the day, I will take that in this
Stepped up and
race.
achieved what we asked. Good job.
Red Bull pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out on the track was today: speed. I know it sounds like an obvious thing to say, Crofty, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently. It's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be proud of the victory they secured here. And now let's take a look at the driver's standings. Max Verstappen should be pleased with his performance, making gains at the top of the table. Some amazing talent out on the track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
For me, it's Kimi Räikkönen, someone who definitely doesn't get enough attention for how well he performs out on the track.
Let's move on to the constructors. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. There was also a strong showing from the Mclaren team today as they make their way up the standings. After an event like that, who knows what the sport has in store for us next time? Be sure to join us again as we continue to bring you the latest excitement in Formula One.
What a race that was then at the end of the day. And Max Verstappen won that Grand Prix by 50 seconds. He lapped everyone up to 7th place there. That is beyond a joke at the end of the day. Verstappen, yeah, averaging out 1.5 seconds a lap in that race there. But Lucas Weber comes through for P2 ahead of the racing points of Vettel and Hülkenberg there. So a German 2-3-4 at the end of the day there. Lando Norris, the top Brit there in P5. That is some big, big points for Williams ahead of Lewis Hamilton. McLaren, their first points of the season, and they get both cars inside the top 8. What a day that is for them as well. Devon Butler picks up another couple of points on the board. Certainly not a regular occurrence for Mercedes there, ahead of myself, rounding out the point scorers at the end of the day there. And unfortunately, my Elgato cut out for a second there. Ricciardo in 11th, ahead of Raikkonen and Giovinazzi there. Heartbreak for Alfa Romeo that they couldn't get a car in the points, but even bigger heartbreak for poor Alexander Albon. He was on for points. He was on for Toro Rosso's first points since Season 1 there, and he has been robbed at the end of the day. But anyway, having a look at the Drivers' Championship, Verstappen now opening up his title advantage at the top there. And the big change for us, Lando Norris has actually re-jumped us in the title fight as well there, but we're still just inside the top 10 in the championship there. I'd love to try and finish mid-pack at the end of the day there. But both McLaren's getting on the board. Now just leaves the Toro Rossos, the Alfa Romeos, and my teammate Romain Grosjean yet to score in this championship. But thank you all so much for watching this video. What a crazy race it was at the end of the day there. Do get yourself subscribed if you're new around here and you do want to see more F1 2019 content. And we will be back next time out at Japan.